Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all here. I am Inge van Lottringen. I am a journalist and contributing editor on Get the Gloss. And welcome to tonight's masterclass. Tonight is all about solutions for sensitive and redness-prone skin with Dr. Alia Ahmed. She's a psychodermatologist, and we're doing this in collaboration with online bespoke skincare platform GetHarley. This is my first time introducing a masterclass, so I'm excited to see you all here or not see you, as the case may be. Totally up to you whether you want to turn on your camera or not turn on your camera. That's completely up to you. I do recommend you turn your mics off because otherwise it can get a little bit rowdy sometimes. If this is your first time, like it is mine, our masterclasses are something we do pretty much every week because we really want you to have access to the best doctors and skincare experts and wellness experts and nutritionists in the country, people that we talk to every day. But we think it's really important that you get your chance to kind of talk to them directly as well. And tonight is one of those chances. It's also a chance every week to get your hands on an exclusive goodie bag, which, as I said, this week is in conjunction with GetHarley, and it is a selection of products that you will know because I think you've got them at home, and I'm sure you're well into playing with your Mader and Tolpa and Rosacea and Revive products. I have sensitive skin myself, so I can vouch for all of them. They're some of the best in the business, in the industry, and Dr. Alia has selected them personally, so they should really do you some good. There is also a voucher in there, as you will have seen, £50 off a £150 consultation on GetHarley. That's something I really recommend you do, especially if you have particular issues. GetHarley is a brilliant way to get in touch with, like I said, the best doctors out there. And this voucher gives you access to a dermatologist consultation. Again, I really recommend you do it because you will get some really good stuff out of it. I can assure you. Now, before I bring in Dr. Alia, let me just explain how we'll be spending these next 45 minutes. Not very complicated. Dr. Alia will do a brilliant presentation, but we want this to be really interactive. So while you're listening, any questions that you have, any comments that you have, just pop them in the chat box. And when Dr. Alia is done, I'll come back in and I'll feed her your questions, and hopefully we'll get through all of them. I'll be really interested to see what you have to share and what she has to say to you. Let me see, I mustn't forget anything. Don't worry if you miss anything, because obviously I think you already know we'll be sending you a recording afterwards, so you can kind of review all this information at your leisure. Oh yes, and also if you want to share any snippets on social media and you want to tag Get the Gloss, just do that. We'd be very excited to see that. Now, let's get to what you're all here for, which is Dr. Alia. She is a consultant dermatologist with a background and a special interest in psychology. She is an expert on the psychological effects of, here she is, chronic skin disease and the link between stress and skin. We call her a psychodermatologist, which is a specialism that's really, really relevant right now. I think we can all share our stories about how stress can affect our skin. I hold my hand up, but also conversely, how, terrible skin conditions that we feel really bad about can affect our psyche and give us a lot of stress. It's kind of a two-way thing, and Dr. Alia knows everything about that, and this really is your chance to ask questions about that particular subject to this top specialist. So don't be shy, just ask, okay? Dr. Alia is one of more than 500 experts on GetHarley. So many of them there, but again, GetHarley is an online skin consultation platform, but also gives bespoke skincare advice. Skincare all selected by the doctors, not because they want to sell a product, but because they know these products work. So something to keep in mind and something to spend your £50 voucher on. Now, Dr. Alia, are you all set?
I am.
Oh,
Thank you for the
fabulous.
introduction.
Well, I really don't want to keep you any longer because you're much more interesting than I am. I feel like I need to look at you like this. But, you know, the floor is yours. I'll just hand over to you.
Thank you. Thanks. And thanks everyone for joining today. So yes, my name is Dr. Alia. I'm a dermatology consultant and I have a special interest in the psychological impact of skin conditions. And definitely this is a time where lots of people are thinking more about their skin holistically. So that people are thinking more about how does my diet affect skin, or how does stress affect my skin? And definitely there's a lot more focus on skincare and wanting to use skincare in conjunction sometimes with medical treatment to control skin issues. So I do have a presentation today, which is going to be about sensitive and redness or inflammation prone skin. So I will be loading that up, but it is hopefully interactive. So do leave your questions in the chat box and I will come back to them at the end. And if you have a point, don't feel shy to ask. I want to keep this, a conversation between us. So don't be put off by the slides either. They're more there to remind me what to keep talking about rather than going off topic. So I'm going to attempt now to share my screen, which is usually the part that scares me the most about these types of presentations, but I think it looks like we're doing okay. And I'll just put this to slide share mode. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'll be talking to you today about what solutions we have as experts, as dermatologists, for sensitive and also redness or inflammation prone skin. Now, what is that? So what do people come and say to me in clinic about their skin? So they'll say to me, my skin is irritated. So what does that mean? It can be very dry. It can get scaly. It can feel prickly. Some people will say, I feel like something's crawling on my skin. And this happens, for example, if I change a product, or this happens all the time anyway, or if the weather changes, or if I'm feeling stressed, or if something happens, or if I eat the wrong food, or the wrong food for me, this is how my skin feels. Other symptoms that people mention are a burning sensation in the skin, or a stinging sensation. And actually all of these can be, the other word to describe them is pain, because pain can be stinging, it can be burning. And often we don't ask people if your skin is painful, but they'll say things like, it feels sore, or I'm really aware of my skin. Like, I know that there's something not quite right. And as I mentioned, there's this sensitivity. And a lot of the time it is to cosmetic products. And I definitely see this a lot more where people will say, I've spent hundreds of pounds on X, Y, and Z, all these products, all these ranges. I used it for a week and actually it made my skin symptoms feel worse. So then I just chucked it away and it was a waste of my money. And this is why it's so important to tailor skincare, especially if you have sensitive or inflammation prone skin, because it is that sensitivity. And there are things in skincare that can make you feel more sensitive, or it's a matter of time of trying to get used to products, and people need some more expert guidance on how to use products more effectively. Now, color change in skin is also a symptom of sensitivity. And obviously in lighter skin, this color change can be from your skin going from a pale color to a more red or pink color. In darker skin tones, so in pigmented skin, skin can look a little bit more dusky, so slightly darker than the usual skin color, or a more purpley violet color. Also, you can just get a feeling of warmth or flushing in the skin, and this can happen in the head and neck area especially. And I already mentioned other things that people will tell me that their skin is feeling like, so being dry or being scaly. Now, why is this happening? Obviously, I can talk about every diagnosis in dermatology and relate it back to skin sensitivity, but we don't have enough time for that today. But what I will mention is the very common diagnosis of rosacea, and this is where you get central reddening or central inflammation of the skin, which makes the skin look and feel warm, and you can get spots in this area as well. And this is often very trigger related. It can be triggered by the sun, it can be triggered by spicy foods, it can be triggered by alcohol. These are the typical things. It can be triggered by changes in the weather, but the symptoms remain the same. So this sensitivity, especially in the central portion of the face, with and without some spots, and also a sensitivity to skincare products. Now, neurogenic rosacea is a division of the usual rosacea that we hear about, and this is something that I've been working with for many years now. Neurogenic rosacea is where someone has probably got a diagnosis of rosacea, but their symptoms, what they feel in their skin, is almost out of keeping with what they can see. So they will say to me, I know my skin doesn't look very red, but it feels like it's on fire, or it really, really feels painful. It's really burning, it's really stinging. And this is the neurogenic form of rosacea. Some of the treatments are the same between the two, but in the neurogenic subtype, we also target pain in some of our treatments. Now, the treatments for rosacea are varied, but usually involve some level of antibiotic, orally or on the skin, also anti-parasitic medications on the skin, and obviously our skincare options. There are more fancy options as well. You can use oral retinoids as well for some types of rosacea, and you can use lasers as well for some of the secondary effects of rosacea, but those are the basic things that we use. Azelaic acid as well we use for treatment of rosacea. Now, other reasons why people have skin sensitivity is allergy, and that could be allergy to anything. It could be allergy to a product or something that's in that product, an ingredient. I have had people come to me who've been diagnosed with rosacea all their lives, and then when they come and see me, in fact, it turns out that they were allergic to certain UV wavelengths in the sun. So they're not allergic to all sunlight, but they're allergic to some types of sunlight, and they need, actually, one of their main treatments is sun protection rather than the oral antibiotics they're on for their rosacea or their supposed rosacea. Also, people can have eczema. Eczema is just a descriptive term. It's a chronic rash that is itchy, can feel very, very inflamed. It can also cause the other symptoms of burning and stinging, and it can be in response to other things. So, for example, you can get an eczema in response to an allergy. You can get eczema in response to having a stress reaction. You can have it as part of a bereavement, or it's something that you've grown up with and had to learn to live with over the years. Eczema is essentially a skin barrier dysfunction. So a lot of the good things from your skin get out easily, and a lot of things in the environment get in easily and activate the skin immune system and then start to cause some of the symptoms that you can see. Much more often, we're hearing about something called a skin sensitivity syndrome. And this is a constellation of symptoms like the ones I've already mentioned. So this very hyper-reactive skin which reacts to temperatures much more easily, skin which loses water much more easily, which allows all the naughty things in more easily. And when we look at this skin under the microscope, we take biopsies and we look at it, we can see that the skin structure in people with skin sensitivity is different. Their skin barrier is more compromised, and maybe this is why they're so sensitive to so many different things. Now, if you've got this type of skin, what are you supposed to do? And most of the time, what I hear when people come to see me is they'll say, well, actually, I've stopped using all skincare. I threw everything out, and now I just wash my face with tap water, I pat it dry, and that's it, because everything makes my skin react. Now, obviously, everybody's skin is individual and people have different skin journeys. And it's really unfortunate when you haven't managed to find the right products for you. However, it doesn't always mean that they don't exist. And when we're thinking about skincare routines for sensitive skin, there are some very basic do's and don'ts that I discuss with my patients or clients. One of them, so the things that you should do is to try and avoid overly fragranced products, because these lovely smelling products, which are sometimes amazing because, you know, they are scented and they feel and look great, if you have a compromised skin barrier, it can make some of your symptoms that you experience worse. So try and look for non-heavily perfumed products. Also, the ones that are labeled as gentle and hypoallergenic and dermatology tested. It's worth looking for those buzzwords, because at least you know that they are designed for people who have got skin which might be sensitive. Avoid the harsh soaps. So the foaming products can sometimes cause issues because, again, they dry out the skin and they affect the skin barrier. When people do have a number of products, or they've tried something and actually they say, well, that didn't work for me, it's, you know, made my skin even more sensitive, What I normally say is, look, don't stop everything and throw it all out. Stop using the products that you're using. And then I want you to reintroduce them to your skincare regime one by one, and do it slowly. So you're going to reintroduce your cleanser first. Then you're going to give that a week or so. Then you're going to reintroduce your moisturizer or your SPF or whatever other treatment that you've been suggested by your dermatologist. And you do it slowly. You don't have to use the cleanser that you just bought every single day when you have sensitive skin. In fact, what I normally say is, if you've got a new product, you introduce it slowly as well. And this is why I've said introduce active slowly. So if even when I prescribe a treatment product for sensitive skin, I will say, I want you to use this once a day in the beginning, but only maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Then after a few weeks, when you're used to the product, then you can add in another day, and you can slowly increase the use. Think about the issues that you have with your skin. So your skin is dry, or your skin is burning, or your skin is scaly, or it's itchy, and target those issues directly. So you're really going to be, if you have sensitive skin, it's worth really looking at what actives you need. And sometimes you actually need to combine medical care and skincare. So if your main issues are around your skin barrier being dysfunctional, so having a lot more dryness, itchiness, burning, stinging, it may be worth actually focusing a little bit more on medical treatment and combining that with very gentle cleansers and moisturizers, or anything else that will help to rebuild your skin barrier initially. And then you can start to add actives in more when you need them. I do obviously suggest most people to seek professional help if your skin is not getting any better, or your skin issues are not getting any better. People ask a lot of questions about makeup, and I will always say it's completely fine to wear makeup. It's completely fine to wear cover up. Look again for the important words: hypoallergenic, dermatologist tested. If you have got new products, do think about patch testing them first. What that means is you don't apply them all over your face straight away. You take a little bit of the product, apply it behind your ear or on your inner wrist, and see, so put it on at night and see how your skin is feeling in that area the next day or the day after, and really see if your skin is reacting to that product. It's a good way to test. And if you go to a counter that has lots of skincare there, if you explain, actually, I'd quite like to try a sample because my skin is quite sensitive, they sometimes do have these under the counter, which they can share with you. The things that I don't want people with sensitive skin to do too much, firstly, is exfoliation. So using physical exfoliants. Sometimes I hear my clients tell me that, well, my skin is dry and scaly, so I use a physical exfoliant, a harsh, scrubbing, foaming cleanser to remove all that scale, and I feel better afterwards, but actually by the evening the problems recurred. Sometimes when you exfoliate too vigorously, you can actually cause your skin to, as a reflex, increase the skin production, and then the scaling of crusting can become worse. So if you're going to exfoliate, use chemical exfoliants rather than physical exfoliants, and use them gently over time. Don't discontinue your products forever. Like I mentioned earlier, you can probably reintroduce things, but you need to do it slowly, and sometimes you need some help. And this is why I'm saying don't be scared. It is scary, especially if you've got sensitive skin and you're not sure what to use, but try and seek the right professional help. And for example, if you saw someone like me, then I can guide you through what products you can use and how you can slowly get back to a skincare regime that works for you. And also, lots of people have often had some level of medical treatment and it hasn't worked for them, and they feel quite despondent, which is completely understandable. But actually, sometimes medicine is important, and it can complement skincare, and skincare can complement medicine. So that's why it's worth thinking about these things together. And if there ever is a medical treatment that I think would help your skin, I normally say, well, let's build this into your skincare regime. Now, you'll have some products in your goodie bag. I was going to do an unboxing, but I got worried that I was going to start dropping things everywhere. So I will go through some of the products from your goodie bag now. So in the morning, and I will mention the sort of things that you need in the morning, you obviously need to use a cleanser. So I tell most people to use some sort of cleanser in the morning to get the buildup of the night off your face. Now, after you've done that, that is when I like you to start thinking about using an active that suits your problem at that time. Now, in your goodie bag is the Mida Red Apex Serum. This is a highly regarded serum, and it is, as the name suggests, to target redness. It has some extremely soothing ingredients, and it is very gentle. So it is designed for sensitive skin, and all the products actually in the Mida range are also pregnancy safe. So you can use these products, you know, quite freely. It's there to soothe your skin and also to act as an anti-inflammatory, reduce redness, reduce inflammation. So that's a good way to start. So cleanse, serum, and then what do you want next? Now, this is obviously going to depend. Everybody will be slightly different in this. But some people, especially if you're trying to rebuild your skin barrier, it's worth thinking about some level of emollient or moisturizer for the skin. Now, in your goodie bags, there are a few products from the Tulpa range. Now, the Tulpa Rosacea range, so it's the range within the Tulpa banner that is there to target rosacea-prone or sensitivity-prone skin. Now, I really like this range because it's been designed specifically for sensitive skin. So it targets inflammation, it targets sensitivity, and it's starting to help to target skin barrier dysfunction, which is usually one of the underlying causes of the symptoms that you're having. The Tulpa range uses a hero ingredient. It's got peat in everything. And peat is actually a natural antioxidant. So it's an antioxidant, which is really helpful to help your skin fight the effects of pollution, fight the effects of UV. Antioxidants also help to build collagen, one of the building blocks of the skin, and it can help to, antioxidant use can help to even skin tone. So there are a host of positive factors in this Tulpa range. And specifically to the Rosacea range, they have really looked at the inflammation at a blood vessel level. So they're improving the tone of your blood vessels, so how they react, also improving microcirculation, and also preventing these very fragile vessels to becoming more inflamed in the skin and causing this inflammatory feeling that you have, so the warmth or the duskiness or the redness, and they have extremely soothing ingredients. So the Rosacea strengthening soothing cream, it is for the day, and it does have an SPF factor of 10 in there. Now, if you want to have a little look at it, it has got a very slight green tint to it, and this is a bit of color correction, and it does feel really quite smooth and soothing. And if you don't have to have redness, for example, to put it on, because you'll still benefit from the positives of this particular range. So that's something else that you can use in the morning, especially if you have dry skin that needs to be soothed. Now, for most skin that is sensitive, it is really worth thinking about SPF. And I have in the bag suggested the Rosalique 3-in-1 anti-redness formula because it has an SPF of 50. So it's a high sun protection factor, and we know that the sun is a trigger factor for many people who have rosacea and skin sensitivity. And actually, I came across this product because more than one of my patients or clients told me that they were using it and they liked it. So I immediately became quite interested in it. And it also has quite a vivid green color. So it does have that corrective element to it. So for those people, especially who are trying to balance out redness, it is really worth trying this product. And it's very gentle. It doesn't seem to be causing many of my patients who already have skin sensitivity any further issues. Now, the other things that you can have in your morning regime, just to mention here, that are not in your goodie bag, are some of the medicinal products. So for example, for sensitive and especially for rosacea-prone skin, I do usually suggest the use of azelaic acid, and a dermatologist will prescribe this because it will be at a higher dose than what you can get in skincare. Other useful ingredients for sensitive or redness-prone skin in the morning are vitamin C. Vitamin C really does actually help to rebuild collagen in the skin, and it also helps with blood vessels. So it's worth giving it a try. Again, people get very worried about vitamin C. You don't have to use it every day straight away. Try it a couple of times a week and slowly, slowly build it in. Also, if you're having medicinal products in the morning, so for example, if you have rosacea and you have an antibiotic cream, for example, to use, or an anti-parasitic cream to use, what you would do is you would layer your skincare. So you would cleanse your face, you would then put your serum, like for example, the red APAC serum, then you would put your medicinal cream. You may or may not by that time need to use the strengthening soothing cream, and then you could leave that out if you needed to, and then you put your SPF. So you're always layering, and the last thing is the SPF, and then you can do your makeup if you're going to a makeup during the day. So conscious of time, so I'm going to move into the evening routine. So again, you will see the rosacea range, and if you are wearing makeup during the day, then I do usually recommend that you use a micellar liquid to remove it. What I liked about this one was that not only it's not just there to take your makeup off, it is again using the properties that I discussed earlier to support your skin. And that is what you want from every product. You want every product to try and give you as much as possible. So using the micellar water to remove makeup, but strengthen your skin and your skin barrier at the same time, to act as a soothing part of your skin regime, to soothe irritation, soothe inflammation. I think that's really helpful. Again, at that point, you decide what you're going to do next. But in your goodie bag, there is the rosacea strengthening regenerating cream. And again, this is actually more targeted towards the redness side of things as well overnight. So it's or the inflammation in the blood vessels types of situation overnight. So it works overnight to strengthen the blood vessels so that you don't have so much inflammation. And again, quite a creamy, soft texture. It's got a slight color to it, but it doesn't have the green tint that we saw with the morning cream. Now, what else would you use at nighttime? So I think it is really important to try your skin barrier regenerating products at night. Also, again, if you're using medicinal products, then they can also be applied overnight. I would use the cleanser to remove makeup. I would then use my usual cleanser to wash my face. I would at that point apply any medicinal product, and then I would use my skin barrier strengthening or regenerating product after that. So again, you're layering all of those things in that way. And if there are people in the who are logged in right now and they're not sure where to put products, do let me know what those products are, and maybe I can help you out with that. Now, this is my favorite bit, the add-on bit. So as I mentioned earlier, my interest in skin is a very holistic interest. So it's not just about skincare, it's not just about medicine, but it's about the interplay of everything. And lifestyle, diet, sleep, stress, all of these things are super important. And more people will ask about these, and more of you want to know what else you can do to help your skin. So one of the things is stress management. So the first picture is to do with that. Now, what are you doing to manage stress? We should think about that, because what we know is that the brain and skin are linked, and this is through the stress axis, otherwise known as the HPA axis, which produces cortisol. So when you're feeling stressed or emotionally distressed, your brain activates the stress axis, it releases cortisol. What does cortisol do? It acts on all organs, but it also does act on the skin. And it's very pro-inflammatory. So it causes inflammation. It can cause or aggravate skin conditions. It affects the skin barrier. It affects the way skin is able to heal. It affects the immune system of the skin. And all of these things build up and cause the symptoms that we hear: dry, dehydrated skin, scaly skin, itchy skin, inflamed skin. So I'm not saying that if you suddenly start to practice meditation and get rid of all of your stress, your skin problems will go away. But there is enough evidence to suggest that there is a link there, especially when you get into this very vicious circle. So you're feeling stressed, your skin gets worse, then you feel even more stressed because your skin is looking a certain way, and it's hard to break that cycle. So stress management, extremely important. We're all living very busy, very stressful lives actually, and there's a lot of stress happening in the world around us at the same time. So it's almost like you can't hide from it. Other things that I talk about are probiotics or diet. What we know is that I talked about the mind the brain and skin axis, but there's also a gut-brain skin axis, and this is still under a lot of investigation, a lot of research in this area. So what we know is inflammation in the gut can be translated into inflammation on the skin. And we've demonstrated this in conditions like atopic dermatitis or eczema, like psoriasis, and also with conditions like rosacea and also urticaria or hives. So what does this mean? It means that actually we should be thinking about probiotics in our diet. It doesn't mean you have to take a supplement, but what it does mean is that you should have a very full and varied diet, a diet that keeps your gut moving so that the good bacteria can do their work. And I've heard a lot from clients as well who have come and said, well, I've been diagnosed with small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and I had to take antibiotics to try and reduce this. Actually, you can control these things with diet by keeping your gut moving. You are allowing the good bacteria to thrive and the bad bacteria to leave. Now, part of your goodie bags was the Revive Collagen set. And I have got here one of the sachets. So the box has got these sachets in there, and it's one sachet that you need to take, and you can take it once a day. You can drink it straight from the sachet, or you can put it in some water. I have actually got mine right here, and I'll take a sip now. I've been fine with it. I haven't found that its taste has had any bad effect on me. It's quite a mild taste. I found it a little bit too strong for me if I drank it straight from the sachet base, so I prefer mixing it with water. Now, why do I advise collagen? If you're not able to get the right collagen from your diet, or you're not able to, for example, have a bone broth every day, or you're practicing an exclusion diet, you're a vegetarian, or you don't want to take certain things, then it's important to try and get some collagen because it is a building block of the skin. And when you have skin sensitivity, then you do need to try and rebuild your skin barrier as much as possible. And again, this is a very holistic thing. And I think many people are more interested in taking these types of supplements. If you're going to take them, take the ones that are recommended and give it a go. I normally say at least try something for 3 months before you can say that it hasn't worked at all for you. So that was the collagen. Now, little cat in the corner is having a good sleep, and sleep is an extremely important part as well of your treatment when you're thinking about sensitive skin. What we know is a good sleep routine and being rested overnight allows your skin to repair itself. All the reparative processes of the skin occur overnight. So if you're not getting enough sleep and you're not getting the right amount of rest, those processes can't occur. And when you hear about creams that will make you look like you've slept 8 hours when you've only slept 4, that's actually not that helpful. Because what we also know is that if you don't sleep adequately overnight, your skin is not able to absorb all the good things from the creams that you're putting on your skin. So it's no point spending X amount of money or putting all your treatment cream on at night and then only sleeping 4 hours, because the blood flow to your skin at night is different to how it is in the day, and you won't absorb the benefit. So do remember that and really think about sleep hygiene. Is something I talk about a lot. Now, another product in the box is the Red Apex mask. Again, I really like this mask because it's very soothing, it's targeted for redness, and it's one of those things that you use as a sort of an as and when. So you're going out in the evening, you want to make the most of your skincare regime. So you would pop this mask, you would cleanse your face, you would pop this mask on, let it do its job, and then you can get ready for your evening. And it is there to reduce redness, reduce inflammation. And from what I hear from the media team is that this is a red carpet type of product. So please do give it a go if you can. Now, just moving on to some of my final point on this slide is about diet. So diet is extremely important. We know that the Mediterranean diet, it has been shown in many dermatology studies to be beneficial for skin conditions like eczema, like psoriasis. Most of the studies in this area are in psoriasis actually, but we're learning more. So again, Diet and skin, there are a lot of myths that go around, but there is a little bit more robust research coming out in this area, and we're keeping our eye on it. And actually, Mediterranean diet generally is good for most of us. So that means that it is a diet that has oily fish, olive oil, good fats, nuts, legumes. You are able to have lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, meat in moderation, and it is fairly low on the refined sugars. And this is a type of diet that we all need generally for our health. So it's worth thinking about that as well. Now, starting to wrap up now so we can get to your questions. Why would you need to see a dermatologist? So everybody has got different skincare needs, and obviously I've spent time constructing a goodie bag for you, but I also understand that everybody's skin journey and everybody's skin type is different, and some products do well for other people and some products don't do so well for them. So it is worth having that bespoke treatment, that bespoke approach to what you're doing for your skin. And again, someone like me who has an interest in all parts, you know, not just your skin, but also diet, lifestyle, stress, can be really helpful when you're trying to work out how to live with your skin, because it's unlikely in most situations for most doctors to be able to cure things, but we can definitely manage them to a point that they become unnoticeable or they become easy to live with, so it's not affecting your quality of life. So I am going to give you a code at the end of the presentation, and I would love to see some of you via GetHarley. Now, the other important things that dermatologists do is they provide diagnoses. I gave you an example earlier of someone who was diagnosed with rosacea, but actually that hadn't been the diagnosis. So it is worth it if you've been struggling with your skin for a long time. It is worth seeing a dermatologist, someone who's an expert in skin, to tell you, well, actually, I think the diagnosis is this. And we can do investigations. Now, those can be the interesting one. So patch tests to see if you're allergic to something or allergic to even your own products. So when we do patch tests, that's when we apply lots and lots of common allergens directly onto your skin. And we also do own product patch tests. So if you came to me and said, well, look, I'm sure that this cream is causing a problem, we can do a patch test for you. And then we can look at the ingredients and say, well, this ingredient is common between these 3 products that you're using. Therefore, yes, you're right, you probably shouldn't use them. So there are more interesting investigations than blood tests in dermatology. Obviously, we can also provide treatment, and I'm a great believer in this combination of medical treatment and skincare, using the two together to benefit you the most. And things will change over time. You may have seen someone 5 years ago for a skin issue, but now we're 5 years later and there are new treatments and there's new research into skin. So it's really worth updating that. And this is where the long-term management comes in. Some skin issues can be sorted out very quickly, others are chronic issues and they need time and they need adjustment over time. So someone that sees me, for example, for rosacea, their skincare plan in summer may be slightly different to what their skincare plan is in winter. Or they may come and see me again when they're feeling especially stressed. And we will go in between of whether we're going to use medical care, whether we're going to use skincare, or how much of a combination of the two we will use. And this is why it's really important, again, combining skincare and skin-directed treatment is what we're trying to achieve, or what I am at least trying to achieve, because for most people, we can find a solution. Now, I'm going to spend some time now taking your questions, but you are free to email my clinic. I also have a website which is listed, www.thepsychodermatologist.com, and I am on Instagram. I'll be grateful for your follows. And I've put in the information there about how to book a consultation with me via GetHarley. There is a code GTG50, and that's for £50 redeemable on products. And do choose the medical dermatology option. And I'm sure all this information will also be sent to you, so you won't lose out on anything. And I would love to see some of you via GetHarley to talk more about your skin. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen now and hopefully get lots of questions.
I need to unmute myself. Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Have I done this right?
You.
Yes, I'm a technical whiz, as you can tell. So that was so interesting. I've learned quite a lot. It's just an endless subject, and there's so much to learn about this because people think it's really simple, and it's not. Interesting questions. We've got Sammy, who, because I'm in a very forested area, and the air is full of tree dust and pollen and everything. And Sammy says, I keep having an allergy breakout in spring. This year is particularly bad, and it keeps coming back. My skin had also been tight, itchy, has had a tight, itchy, burning sensation. How can I stop that happening in the future? Is it environment? What is it?
Well, it can be, and actually pollen is usually one of the reasons for this. So for example, I have hay fever, and this year it has been bad, whereas in previous years it's been quite unnoticeable. What people with skin barrier dysfunction sometimes are not aware of is that these things in the environment can irritate their skin much more than someone who doesn't have a skin barrier dysfunction. So if you imagine your skin as a brick wall, if you have a skin barrier dysfunction, then the cement that keeps the walls, the bricks together, is missing. So there are lots of gaps. So all the nice water, good fats, hydrating factors of your skin, you know, they have an exodus of them, they leave. And then all the things like pollen, like fragrance from somebody else gets in, and it can activate the immune system.
From somebody else?
Yes, even from someone else. It can affect you, because people will say, well, I've stopped using fragrances, you know, I don't know why this is still happening. And I'll say, yes, but the thing is that somebody else has probably using a fragrance, and that's probably what's aggravating your symptoms. So what do? You know, there are some simple things that you can do. One is, you know, if you're drying your clothes, try not to dry them outside. I know we should all be being energy efficient, but if you have got very allergy prone skin, remember the pollen that's in the air is going to go and stick on your clothes and your bed clothes, and then you're going to put them on, or you're going to sleep in them. That's a very simple, it's a very, very simple tip. Your skin barrier, the best thing to rebuild it and to rebuild that cement between the bricks is to use moisturizer. So use emollients on the skin on your body, and also the skin on your face. I do think antihistamine, so the medical side of things, is using an antihistamine. So taking a regular antihistamine for the spring or summer months, I think, is completely fine, as long as there's no reason why you shouldn't take it. Most of them are available over the counter. You just need to speak to your local pharmacist and decide which one would be best for you. And if it continues, then obviously, yes, do seek some help in this area and see, because sometimes you can have topical treatments and medical treatments as well. You can try some topical steroid treatments. For some people might be helpful to reduce inflammation. It's not helpful for everyone, but it might be in this person's case. But again, it's worth having that conversation. So hydrate your skin appropriately with emollients, avoid triggers, you know, that you can, and take an antihistamine.
And topical steroids, they're not, you can't overuse them, but sometimes I hear a lot of people are so terrified of them, as, oh, you can't go near that. In the right hands and used, you know, with care, they're really not damaging, are they? If you limit them. Absolutely,
they need to be used properly. They need to be used under the right direction. And to be honest, you're absolutely right. Lots of people are very scared and worried about using them. So, and I've had this situation lots, and I just say, that's fine. I'm not going to induce worry and stress in you and make you feel even worse. There are other things that we can try. So there are treatment creams for sensitive skin or for itch prone skin that do not contain steroids that can be prescribed. So there is a way around that as well.
Okay. Nadia is saying, are broken capillaries on the face a sign of sensitivity? Do they need sensitive skin products? The skin also gets red on the nose area, reacting to weather and stress, but skin doesn't feel dry and itchy.
Yeah, so issues with capillaries is to do with reactivity of the capillaries, and that is part of skin sensitivity. So when we compare people with skin that has got lots of broken capillaries compared to people with who don't have that issue, we can see that the blood vessels in those other people are just more reactive. They're more reactive to the sun, they're more reactive to changes in weather, they become bigger much more easily, and then they shrink down. They dilate for longer periods. And also, if we look at the nerves in skin that is sensitive, per small area, there are many more nerve endings, so that's why your skin is that much more sensitive. So it's just the way your skin is made. So yes, broken capillaries are a sign of sensitivity of the capillaries. Now, why that's happening is usually something like rosacea. It can also just be inherited. Some people, that's just their skin. It's also a sign of sun damage. So these things, you know, and then stress just generally causes a bit of an adrenaline rush, cortisol, blood rushes to the face. If you've got weakened capillaries or very hyperreactive capillaries, and then that's happening, you can imagine that you are going to start to show some long-term signs on your skin rather than just the short-term signs.
Would you say SPF or a good sunscreen, I think a broad spectrum sunscreen, very important, is a first port of call for every type of sensitivity? You know, obviously the right one that's not going to irritate your skin, but I think it's quite essential, isn't it?
Yes, super important to use good sun protection. And for people that are a little bit scared when using the sun creams, and you can experiment and try and find the right one for you. Also do the other things as well. Wear a hat when you're outside. Wear the, you know, wide sunglasses. Luckily, they're very much in fashion, so it's okay. You know, and actually, I feel like protecting your skin from the sun is much more in fashion than it ever was. You know, it's so normal.
The trend.
Yeah, it's a trend. It's, you know, everyone's like, right, yes, I'm looking after my skin, and you know, so what? You know, I'm not going to go and lie in the sun. So yeah, so definitely sun protection is extremely important.
Okay. Sylvia says she has hot flushes along with rosacea. That's really annoying. But yeah, double up. Hot flushes. I would say, I don't know what you think about that, but I see all these products for hot flushes now, and they tend to be alcohol and menthol based because it's cooling. Can you say something about that, maybe?
Yeah, sure. So the hot flushes with the rosacea, I mean, I do hear from a lot of people that, oh, I became menopausal and then I got rosacea, for example. But I do actually think that probably the rosacea was there all along. But it was probably mild and unnoticeable. And as you get older and your skin barrier changes because of the effects of menopause, because we're losing some of our good hormones, then all of those symptoms that may have been underlying the whole time start to get aggravated. And yes, you also will have the additional symptoms of hot flushes. Now, what do you do is difficult, because you're right. Most of the treatments for hot flushes that you put on your skin do come as a gel because it's much more cooling, but gels contain alcohol and they can aggravate skin that has got rosacea. So you're a little bit, you're starting to get stuck here. You can use some of the other conservative treatments. So, you know, like a cool pack or something like that, or a fan, you know, very, very simple. Also think about, you know, HRT is a very hot topic at the moment, but these are some of the things that you can use to control the hot flushes. So, and also it's worth working out, are the flushes because of menopause? Are you actually just flushing because you have uncontrolled rosacea? And working that out. And that is sometimes why you need to have a dermatologist to try and help you work out what's happening in that area.
Yeah. Nicorine, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, I'm really sorry. Small children don't get much quality sleep. Welcome to the club. What can I do to help calm the redness that isn't necessarily inflamed, but is lingering from earlier bouts of rosacea? So it's kind of permanent redness. I'm thinking lasers and stuff, but I'm not 100% sure.
So ongoing redness, there are some, obviously you can use skincare that is targeted to reduce inflammation, like the skincare that you received in your goodie bag. In terms of medicinal things that you can use, there are topical treatments available that actually reduce the size of the capillaries. It works different. There's a particular ingredient called brimonidine. And what that does is it reduces the size of the blood vessels so that you're almost blanching that redness out. So leaning a little bit more towards medicine here. And it's not something that will blanch it out forever, but it is something that you can use to try and very redness targeted that treatment is, to, you know, really try and reduce it. But it only works for a certain amount of time. So for example, you can use it once a day, and some people it works for 6 hours and some people it works for 4 hours. So this is something that you can give a go. Also, there are physical treatments for redness if you have fixed redness. So you can start thinking about lasers, but only through the right people who know what they're doing, especially if you have rosacea. in your skin. And then, yes, looking for the anti-redness products, looking for color correction as well, I think is sometimes really helpful. And if you do have lingering rosacea, then that also requires treatment.
Is it true, and I was taught this sometimes, that if you suspect you have ongoing redness and you suspect it's rosacea, it's actually quite important you go to a doctor, because if you leave it, it can actually get a lot worse, and it can turn into acne rosacea if you don't watch out. I mean, we don't want to scaremonger, but is it, if you really suspect there's rosacea, is it actually a really good idea to get at least one consultation with a dermatologist and see?
Absolutely. So it's worth seeing someone, yes. And sometimes even your GP can diagnose rosacea,
Right.
but yes, a dermatologist is more of an expert, and then you can start working on treatment. What we hear is that, you know, someone's been having redness or inflammation for a very long time, and then the side effects of that on the skin are more difficult to reverse. So someone who's got fixed redness, that is more difficult to treat than someone who just had redness that comes and goes. Because the fixed redness is what then needs some of the physical treatments, and then they come with their own risk and benefit package, and you think, well, shall I or shan't I? But yes, as with most things, you know, even with blood pressure, if your blood pressure is only a little bit high and you go and see your GP and get it treated, is better than going when it's, you know, super high. So yeah, remember, your skin is still an organ, and, you know, we don't tend to treat it with the same respect. We sort of do with skincare. We're good at, you know, let's try this product, let's do this, let's do that. But when it comes to actually seeking professional help, you're more likely to go and get your blood pressure checked than you are to see a dermatologist to get your skin checked. So definitely, yes, treat your skin with the respect that it deserves.
Good point. Interesting, when you mentioned vitamin C, for someone with sensitive skin, can a high street vitamin C suffice, or better to go on for redness? And I think there are vitamin C's that are they're effective but are much milder, maybe the lipid-based ones, but what would you say?
Yeah, so there are different levels of vitamin C and different combinations. So the vitamin C that is combined with other ingredients to stabilize it, to make it more effective in your skin. But if you have sensitive skin, sometimes I sort of say, well, actually, I'd rather you didn't go for that really strong vitamin C in the beginning. So a high street vitamin C is fine, but look at the concentrations. Look and start low and work up, or start using it once a week and in a small area, and then slowly build up the area that you're using it on. So yes, you can get some very good high street products. It's just about what suits your skin. And also, I quite like combination products. You want to make it simple for your skin. You don't necessarily, so a lot of the things that I recommend will have, you know, a serum will have vitamin C plus something to try and get you the most benefit. So vitamin C plus niacinamide, for example, so that you're looking at protecting your skin with an antioxidant, and you're looking at an anti-inflammatory in the niacinamide and rebuilding your skin barrier. So looking for combined ingredients is also a good idea.
Good. And if you go on the high street, just try to avoid fragrance as well, right? Because you've got lots of these, and then they're, you know, souped up with lots of lovely fragrances, and then you kind of cut your nose off despite your face, I would imagine. So fragrance free. Karen says, red nose problem here, embarrassed, stressed, alcohol. She said, taking a sip of wine. Just about everything gives me a Rudolph look. Bless you. Any ideas what helps with the snozzle?
Oh, bless you. Okay. So if you're not having any treatment, it is worth thinking about it. And it can be skincare focused. It can be skincare plus medicine focused. So yes, when I see people who have, you know, really marked redness, I normally in their skincare plan, so in, you know, all the things that I like for that person's skin, and then I will also use the medicinal products. So the brimonidine that I mentioned is something that I would go for if I felt like sometimes it's, you know, it's all due to inflammation, and we do use antibiotics sometimes as creams and orally, not because it's a bacteria that's causing all this, it's because we're using them as an anti-inflammatory. So it's worth thinking about combining those two things. Sometimes people think, well, it's only my nose, so what's the, you know, and that's fine as well, you know. So, but that's why you need to have that conversation, because someone will say, well, look, I'm not going to take an antibiotic just because my nose goes a bit red. I want you to treat me with skincare, and then we'll focus on that. So there are lots of ways around this thing. It's about what, you know, it's about what works for you. You can't avoid every trigger either. I mentioned some triggers in the beginning, and you know, how much can you avoid spicy food if you really like it? How much can you avoid alcohol if you enjoy having it? Like, I don't want people to live their life according to their skin. You should live your life according to what you want to do. And then your skincare routine, your skincare products are there to support you to live the way you want to be.
Cool. I think we're getting to the end. I just want to, but I think we sort of answered this, Sammy, what would be good for red marks on skin, but we talked about that, right? That's more about the more ingrained kind of redness that you want to avoid in the first place. But once it's there is this medicine that you were talking about that I've never heard of, which is interesting, and maybe lasers and, you know, more and more calming skincare and an ongoing, and found or you know, products like that Rosalique is really very good, because it I mean, it is livid green, but once you put it on your skin, it actually goes a skin tone. So it's quite lovely actually, and it's a good SPF, like a broad spectrum one. So stuff like that is really good, because ingrained redness, it's hard to treat, I think, you know. So it's
hard to manage expectations as well. So any good professional will say, look, this is how much I think this can get better.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm going to suggest. And then we're going to work on it together. And during that, and something that I like to focus on is almost acceptance. Okay, so I do have sensitive skin, you know, and I accept that, and I'm going to learn how to manage it in the best way that's possible for me. And like I said, everybody's skin journey is different. My role in this whole thing is to help you over those bumps. Everybody's going to come across those road bumps, and it's about making your journey with your skin smooth. And this is why it's important to be able to talk about these problems with someone who knows what advice to give you.
Yeah. And also, nobody actually has Instagram skin either, no matter
exactly.
You know, we all have blemishes and spots and stuff. So yeah, it's also about acceptance. I think that's absolutely right. Well, we could go on because I have lots of questions, but it is almost 8 o'clock now. So I think we should sign off. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for your wisdom. I'm off to learn about lots of new things that I've learned. Probably be back with you with questions myself. Really good. Thank you so much. And thank you for all your interesting questions that brought up a lot that I hadn't thought of. And well, have a lovely evening. I understand it's raining in London, but it'll be lovely tomorrow. So we won't sit in the sun, but enjoy it anyway. And thank you, Dr. Alia. That was really, really cool.
No worries. I hope everybody took something away from it, and do connect with us if you want to ask any more questions, or if you want to see me via GetHarley. I would love to connect with all of you.
Yeah, go get a consultation. It's good. And have fun, play with your products. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night. Bye. Bye-bye.